Kia ora guys, Richard Liu here, editor at nzentrepreneur.co.nz. And today, as you know, we're celebrating Global Entrepreneurship Week and the Innovation Nation series of stories that hopefully you've been watching come out over the last few weeks. Today we're talking to Dorien Vermaas. Dorien is the Economic Development Portfolio Manager at Marlborough District Council. So super excited to find out what's been happening in terms of innovation and entrepreneurship just up the road from us, really. Dorien, thank you so much for joining us today.
Great to be here, Richard. Thank you very much. Kia ora.
Kia ora. So, Dorien, earlier this year, we had some pretty exciting news come out of Marlborough District Council that they've chosen to, elected to fund innovation, basically, in the area for, I think, 10 years. So for people who aren't aware of what you do at Marlborough District Council, or MDC, can you sort of just give us a quick rundown? What's the organisation do in terms of supporting entrepreneurship? And tell us a bit about your role as well.
Great. Thank you very much. That's a great question. Well, Marlborough District Council is a unitary council, so it's a regional council and a local council in one, which is handy because all these teams are in one building together. So they're looking after the interests of the region. So there's environmental teams and consent teams and regulatory teams, and then there's an economic development team. There's many more teams, by the way, but anyway, the one that I'm in is the economic development team, which is a little bit different from some other regions where they have economic development placed outside of a council environment because they're so closely connected to business, I suppose, and tourism. So there's a lot of regions that work with economic development agencies. We don't have that here. So I moved to Marlborough, back to Marlborough, which is my New Zealand home, about a year ago to take up this role. It's a small team. We're only 3 people, but it's super exciting to be working here and working for the businesses because, as you know, as everybody knows, Marlborough is a massive brand. If you talk Sauvignon Blanc and wine, of course, Marlborough has probably put New Zealand on the international map if it comes to wine. So that's an incredible interest and large driver for economic development here in Marlborough. I think it's 30% of the GDP together with aquaculture and forestry. So those are very strong sectors in our region. And there's a lot happening in those sectors. So a lot of innovation, productivity, as we all know, in general in New Zealand could be higher. There's a lot of room for improvement and there's a lot of innovation happening. Agri-tech, particularly innovation in sectors connected to the land. There's a lot of agri-tech and robotics happening and very exciting things. So the councillors here who are making the final decisions in budget rounds have decided to take up an extra budget of 100K every year for the next 10 years to develop innovation. And so I get to work on that. So we're in the middle of strategy sessions for the next 10 years. Actually, we're almost finished with that. So then there's a strategy and there's very exciting plans to help all these businesses and startups connect and make them grow, help them grow. Yeah.
That's fantastic news. So an exciting time to be an entrepreneur or innovator or creator in your area. So can you tell us a little bit about, from say a programming point of view, what sort of support is there for local entrepreneurs or people maybe with business ideas, potential products or services that they're looking to explore, execute or grow?
Yes, I can tell you a little bit about that because there was an active program already in place, which is called the Smart and Connected program. It's almost like a cluster program where the industries have a platform to get together on a monthly basis and work on projects. And some of these sector programs work really well. There's a lot of regenerative projects in the Marlborough Sounds, for instance, connected to the aquaculture industry, the mussel farmers and the salmon farmers. Those are the programs that have been happening and are still happening. The new programs that we're really excited about are things like we're setting up a startup weekend for the first time. Marlborough's going to have a startup weekend this year. That's to learn. That's maybe not to build businesses in one go. That would be lucky, but that's really to learn to connect together, build the communities, see who comes out of the woodwork, who wants to be an entrepreneur, give it a go, and have a lot of fun, and build teams and learn to fail fast, and maybe even connect closer to the Wellington tech sector, you know, because there's not a lot of coders here in this place. So there might even be an opportunity to do that. There's also a coding festival that's going to happen. So that's very exciting for Marlborough. That's the first time. We're looking at inspiring speaker programs, community building for agri-tech in Marlborough, build a community there. We have a large interest from the wine industry here. So we're working together with Wine Marlborough and the likes of the research institutes, local research institutes, to set up programs as well.
Awesome, very cool. Yeah. So can we just talk a little bit about sort of sectors, and you mentioned, as we know, Marlborough's world famous for Sauvignon Blanc and the wine sector there. Yeah. Would it be fair to say that you know, with any area where we've had industries which traditionally have driven the economic growth or productivity, do you think that leads to further innovation for, you know, businesses that support those particular industries? Would that be a fair assessment? And if so, what might be some examples that you can think of?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great question too, because obviously, you know, we don't talk, when you talk sectors, you don't talk about all the service companies around it, and they are thriving here too because of a thriving wine sector, right? So, and that is, at the moment, if you look at agri-tech, for instance, there's a real good example happening here. There's a company called Oxen Smart Machines. They have been in tractors all their life, and they've now moved into designing a sort of a robotic tractor and taking over the work. As you know, labor is short, and particularly, you know, the labor's in on the land. There's a shortage of labor, and so this would increase productivity. I don't know how many times, but it would be tremendous to have that, get it to work in our vineyards. And they've been setting up their business, and they've done that in collaboration with the large corporates. So Pernod Ricard and Indivin, the two largest organizations in wine in New Zealand, actually, in the world, maybe. Well, Pernod Ricard is one of the biggest in the world. You know, they are backing those programs, and they're opening their networks. So they're also opening their Australian networks for these small companies. So that's the cool thing about these innovation companies and these startups. They have immediate customers, and they can test it in the field, and they can find investment there too. Because I don't know if that's one of your questions, but if we talk investment, you know, Marlborough is also a very nice place to live. So we have a lot of, we have a really active Marlborough investors group, the Marlborough Angels. There's still a young group, only 3 years, but there's some wealthy retired businessmen from all around the world that reside in Marlborough, call it home. And they are having so much fun helping support these businesses and this innovation network. So that's the other side. You need the investment as well. So it's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for any entrepreneurs watching this, you know, I think it's important to reiterate that often, you know, it's not about sitting around until you just come up with some magic idea for a widget or a product or whatever. You know, often the best opportunities can be found just by going to look for problems to solve for, you know, other industries, for example.
That's right.
So whatever you're passionate about, you know, go and talk to those businesses, find out the challenges, and see if you can add some value. Could just be, you know, the catalyst for a next global success story coming out of Marlborough. Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Cool. So just in terms of looking ahead a little bit to the future. So we've talked a little bit about development of 10-year strategy around innovation and supporting entrepreneurs. And next year, what specifically may jump out for you in terms of things that we should be keeping an eye out for in terms of activity or programming?
What we're going to do?
Yeah.
Oh, there's such a big list. It's too much. That's why we chose 10 years. You know, there's a real cool thing here too happening, which is been put together in a 100-year intergenerational strategy for Te Tauihu. So there's a lot of, I'd rather, do you want me 1 year, or can I talk a little bit sort of this a bit more in the future? I'll just
absolutely. This is, we just want to know what you guys are up to.
Yeah. So you know, the Te Tauihu strategy is the Top of the South strategy, has been produced, driven by Vakatu Corporation. So I think Māori economic, supporting the Māori economy and driving that forward is going to be a massive part of our drive as well next year, and it's fantastic to have that Te Tauihu strategy. So Marlborough and Nelson and Tasman region are working together on projects that we can develop, and and shared economies. The ocean economy, aquaculture is a massive part of all three of our regions. So we're looking at maybe incubation programs that we can do together with Research Institute and making things real. So that's very, very exciting. And of course, you can't just magically organize that in 12 months. So that's why I'm thinking, 12 months, it's a short period of time for those kind of things. But we're thinking incubation, helping businesses to grow. We're also thinking acceleration programs for the large organizations to look at productivity and how they can improve that, and where we can work together with the Nelson EDA on that. As far as Marlborough is concerned, we'll be putting a lot of effort and emphasis on developing this film industry. We have a large group of amateur and professional filmmakers in the region, film talent, I should say, because there's all sorts. There's producers, writers, and technical people, and there's also the opportunity, maybe we're looking at developing studios, because there are some very big buildings here that are looking for a new purpose. So watch this space, and we're very actively helping that. Maybe one other one, haven't touched on that yet, but Marlborough, there's a aviation industry, has been traditionally a strong industry in Marlborough, and there's Sounds Air is a Marlborough-based company, and they do I don't know if you know them, but they have all the little planes and do lots of flights and connections between Marlborough, Picton, Wellington, Christchurch, West Coast, so it's local, regional flights. And they have the goal of doing the first personal flight, passenger flight, I should say, in an electric plane within the next 3 to 5 years between Wellington and Marlborough. So wouldn't that be great? Yeah, so we're helping with that too, because of course you need an infrastructure for that, and that's economic development. We need big charging stations for the batteries in every airport if we want to make that work. So yeah, there's a lot to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So on that note, have you got any final messages you'd like to just share with people watching, maybe entrepreneurs in your region? Anything you'd like to leave them with?
Yeah, I would like to thank all the entrepreneurs that have worked with us on this campaign for coming on board. It's the first time that we've worked with NZ Entrepreneurs, so thank you to you, Richard, and to Jen. It's been a fabulous journey for us, and for the first time we can tell these stories. Obviously, Marlborough is well known. The tourism sector has thrived over the years and grown. It's a fabulous place to visit. But these particular stories about entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship and how fun it is to work in a region haven't been told yet. So this platform has helped us start that journey. It's been great to work on it, and hopefully we can do way more. And yes, then the other thing is, you don't need to be in a city to work in exciting startups and in exciting economic development and innovation projects. It's happening in the regions. There's a lot of energy. Yeah, so thank you for bringing that to light. Yeah.
Not a problem at all. It's been a pleasure. So, Dorien Vermaas, Economic Development Portfolio Manager at Marlborough District Council. Thanks for joining us today. All the best for the end of the year, and look forward to having this chat again in 2022 and seeing what exciting stuff's been going on.
Same. Yes. Thanks, Richard.